Welcome to DucBloke Tuning and Finding the Sweet Spot. Grab a cup of coffee and like and subscribe. And welcome back to DucBloke Tuning, Finding the Sweet Spot. Happy St. Patrick's Day. A little bit early, a couple hours early, but I'm going to post this. It is St. Patrick's Day in Ireland right now, so I guess it's appropriate. What I have for you today, by request. So several of you have reached out to me and said, hey, DucBloke, you do a lot of the total IEMs. Can you do some of the lower budget stuff as well? And I have to a certain extent, but what I thought focus on today is 9 budget single dynamic driver IEMs that cost less than $50. These are in my collection. They're right here. There's 9 of them. Some of them are older and some of them are fairly new. So with that, let's get stuck into it. So here's the 9, and they're in alphabetical order, starting at the top left, going over to the side. So we've got the Blon BL-03 II that has recently been released. We have the Simgot EW100P, the Ziigaat Nuo, the ND Planet, and this has been getting a lot of press. There's been a lot of reviews on this as of late, and I got my hands on one, bought it myself, and I got to tell you, it's excellent. So we'll find out more about that as we go through the review. The EPZ Q1 Pro, and then the Tangzu Wan'er, which is a legendary IEM, has been out for a couple years now, and then the Blon X HBB Z300, which has also been around for quite some time, and I've given these away to a lot of people that I know because I think they're very good build quality. They look good if you like the bling. With that, let's talk about the drivers that are inside these sets. So starting again from the top left, 10mm driver in the Blon. It's an 11.2 in the Dawn. It is a 10mm driver in the EDC Pro. It is a 10mm driver in the EW100P. The Nuo is a 10mm driver. The Planet is a 12mm driver. It is the largest driver in this group, and that's going to have an impact in its overall performance, especially the library I have and the tuning style that I like. Well, again, we'll get more into that as we go through the review. The EPZ Q1 Pro, this was sent to me by EPZ. Thank you very much. Tangzu Wan'er had this IEM for quite some time, just here. And then the Z300. These all have 10mm down here. These all have 10mm. This one has the 12, that one is the 11.2. Everything else is 10mm. Now let's look at the materials that these are made out of. The BL-03 claims to be a carbon diaphragm. And then when you look at the Dawn, they talk about a sputter deposition, multi-layering diaphragm that's in that. And I believe it actually performs really well out of the box. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the EDC doesn't say what it is. Simgot EW100, it says something called SCP. If somebody knows what that is, please put it in the comments section. I'm not sure what that polymer is. LCP, liquid crystal polymer, and there's lots of different grades of liquid crystal polymer, but that's what's in the Nuo. There are a lot of sets out there that use liquid crystal polymer. And then the unique thing about this group of 9 that are under $50, the Planet is beryllium coated. That tends to make for a very good dynamic driver. So not only is it 12mm, it's beryllium coated. Then we have the Q1 Pro, which is an LCP and PU being polyurethane. And then we have PET for the Wan'er, and then it's a silicon driver for the Z300. What are the shells made out of? So we've got a cast alloy in these corners just here. We have really nice resin shells. That's the Inawaken Dawn. The shells are actually a really, really nice solid build resin. And then we have a plasticky feel for the EDC Pro, the 100, the Nuo, the Planet, and the Wan'er. The Q1 Pro actually has what I would consider premium resin shells as well. So there they are. They're very good looking shell. Also has a really good cable, as well as the Dawn. So the Dawn also has a very good cable. I didn't get into that in the review here, but it's worth mentioning that the cable that comes with this is quite premium as well. And also the cable that comes with the BL-03 Mark II. I had an option to get a 4.4. It is the only one of these that had the option for a 4.4. Here's the prices. So the most expensive to least expensive. The Dawn just sneaks in by a cent at $49.99. BL-03 Mark II at $37. Got the Z300 at $33. Q1 Pro at $31. $25 for a Wan'er. EW100 and the Nuo are tied at $20. Then you drop down to $17 for the new Planet that's just been released. And then this is a $5 IEM. So I put it into this group because, gotta tell you, tuning does some strange things, and you can really polish up a diamond from a chunk of coal sometimes. And that just happened to happen with that one. Let's talk about the results. So here's the 9 IEMs, and these are all of my parameters, looking at everything from sub bass and bass feel, the midsections, treble, soundstage, detail layering, masking, note weight, slam, sibilance, timbre/color, tonality, and texture. I've put these, again, they're in alphabetical order because we're going to go through who's won, the worst performing to the best performing. And here's the scores before and after. This is my spider graph. This is the Simgot EW100P. It started out at a 7.7 out of 10. It elevated to an 8.4 out of 10. Did improve in just about every parameter across the board. This is the Squig, so this is the trace in green that I measured, and then this is what I wound up with as a PEQ setting when I tuned it. Now we're going to move on to the Ziigaat Nuo. The Nuo gets a trophy, and it's tied with one other IEM for the most improved. So we went from a low score before PEQ was applied to it at 7.3. So this is the worst performing out of the 9. And it went up to an 8.4, so it went up 1.1. It got a little trophy for most improved, but it actually does deserve it. It did improve it quite a bit. This is also most improved. So we went up 1.2. This is the Blon BL-03. It went from a 7.4 up to an 8.6. It is tied for third because there are 3 IEMs that scored an 8.6 out of 10 out of this group. And there's also 3 IEMs that scored an 8.7 out of this group that tied for second place. But there is a clear winner out of all of these IEMs as well. Then we have Blon Z300 again. Here it is. I have this again in third place. It actually comes with a very nice cable. It's a metal shell, so I like this more, let's say, than Blon BL-03 just for its looks, and it performed equally as well. It also was very rounded in its performance, so kudos to Blon for being in here twice and scoring really well. Then we go to the Inawaken Dawn, where we went from an 8.4 to an 8.6. It's worth noting the Inawaken Dawn comes with the best accessories. So it has a nice case that comes with it. It has several tips. It also has a very nice cable. It's a good looking IEM. Out of the box, this tied for #1 spot before PEQ was applied to it with the EPZ Q1. So those 2 IEMs out of the box perform very, very well. If you weren't to apply PEQ to it, you would think that this was the best one. So this would have gotten first place, but it's gotten third because it only went up 0.2 after I tuned it. And you can see that the traces were actually pretty close to each other. And yellow is what I measured, and then purple is what I wound up with for my tuning. Moving into second place, we've got the Wan'er. The Wan'er went from an 8.1 to an 8.7. Couple years old, and this thing is still an absolute legend. Doesn't come with the greatest cable, pretty simple cable. This one's got a mic on it. You might want to change the cable out if you've got a pair of these. But if you've got them and you want this tuning and you want to elevate it to an 8.7, get a hold of me and I'll send you the PEQ settings. What also tied, and this is the biggest shocker of them all out of all this lot, this is a $5 IEM. If you go on AliExpress, this thing costs $5. This is a KZ EDC Pro, and it actually is pretty good looking. So let's just grab it. Here it is. It's got a horrible cable. It's got like the cheapest cable you could possibly think of, but it has like a mirror finish inside. It actually looks pretty good. Out of the box, it scored a 7.9, so it does okay. It got an 8.7 once I tuned it. This thing takes really well to tuning. So again, this is a lump of coal that turned into a diamond once the PEQ was applied to it, and you could see just how close it was tuned out of the box. So I didn't have to do much to it. Grab one. They're $5. Why not? And then also for second place, you've got the EPZ Q1 Pro. Again, really nice shells, much better cable, and this also scored an 8.7 out of 10. That's the second place. Finishers, first place, the new ND Planet with the 12mm beryllium driver. This thing has a cheap cable. It has some pretty funky, weird looks. It almost looks like a creepy eyeball looking out of your ear, but it's meant to be a planet in there. You can get it in blue, or you can get it in this orangey red color. but you can see the driver inside. It's quite large. It tunes up really well. This thing slams. It has really good bass. So my sub bass, my bass feel, and my lower mids, I all put it at a 9. It doesn't have a hell of a lot of texture. None of these do because they're a single driver. The tonality on it was just, you know, an 8. The timbre on it was, you know, like an 8 point something. Sibilance is almost non-existent. This is warm out of the box. You can see how warm it is as it drops off. And what I did was I extended the treble in it quite a lot. It is not sibilant. It is actually a really smooth operator out of the box. It went from an 8 to an 8.9. Highly recommend getting your hands on one of these. They are $17 on Amazon. So there's the drivers, worth showing the star in the show. That's the 12mm driver that gives this thing such good slam and feel and tunability. Here's the bar graphs showing what it was out of the box. Again, the EPZ Q1 and the Inawaken Dawn both tied right here for first place if you don't do any tuning. Nothing here had enough bass for me. So you can see everything scored kind of low in the bass region. There were some standout things that, you know, like the sibilance on the EPZ was quite good. The masking was quite good on it as well. More importantly, after PEQ, let's talk about the Planet. It's the bar at the back. You can see just how much it elevated in the sub bass, bass feel, and lower midsection. It was the best performing out of all of these IEMs. It also did really well for its detail, layering, masking, note weight, slam. It's worth also noting the Wan'er. Just here, it actually outperformed everything else for its upper mids treble region. It does really well if you like your female vocals. If you don't like a lot of bass and you want to add some tuning to it, the Wan'er is actually still a really good contender. This is my final slide. No tuning. Get the EPZ Q1 Pro or the Inawaken Dawn. They both score an 8.4 out of the box. Close behind it is the Z300 with the metal shells. It looks really good. If you want to do tuning, most of the people that follow my channel ask for the tunings. If you are willing to try a parametric EQ setting, get the ND Planet or get the EPZ Q1 Pro. Scored an 8.9. The EPZ Q1 Pro scored an 8.7. Also, if you want to get a little banger that's, you know, super cheap, that scored an 8.7, $5, get the KZ EDC Pro. And with that, happy St. Patrick's Day. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, comment on the video, and DucBloke out. Thank you for visiting DucBloke Tuning and finding the sweet spot. Your comments are very much appreciated. I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. Share the PEQ settings with you if you own these particular IEMs or if you plan on purchasing them to maximize your investment. Again, thank you so much for supporting the project.